Hi guys, Dave here at Humble Trekker channel. How you doing out there today? I've got my hands on one of these, a so-called survival grenade. It's a little package wrapped up in paracord, which is supposed to contain some elements, some contents that might potentially keep you alive in a survival situation. I actually got this, I joined a book club, and this came as kind of like one of the opening offers for joining the book club. I've since left that book club, it was rubbish. But I do have the survival grenade, so I was thinking I'll bust it open and see what's inside it. From the outside you see it's wrapped in a length of paracord. I've got a nice olive green colour, and there's a carabiner. Carabiner obviously is not load bearing quality, so you can clip it onto your trousers or to a pack, whatever you feel like doing with it. But let's open this thing up. First survival skill to master is unwrapping it. Oh, I see, they've just got it folded under there, and they do say on the packaging, do not open this up if you're expecting, do not expect to put it back together once you've opened it up. It's kind of a one-shot deal, so it's quite nicely wrapped together. Let me see, let's unwrap it. Now talk amongst yourselves. I wonder how many meters of paracord this is. We'll find out when we get it opened up. It's easy to unravel. I was worried it might be difficult to unravel. Obviously if you was in like a cold situation, if you've got cold fingers, you definitely don't want it to be difficult to unpack. So far I'm not finding it difficult to unpack. Got a nice compact package in there, covered in silver foil. I can see. I can actually get the package out now. So there's the package, a little silver foil package. Let's continue to, I'll continue to unravel all of the paracord so I can measure it. I've actually got a contents sheet that came with a package. I could just read that and find out how much paracord there is. This is going to make for an exciting video, this one. Unwrapping paracord. Never mind. I know you're here because you want to be here, right? You can always click off. There we go, it's done. So, we have, that's about a foot. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a bit more than a foot. It's more like, so about 6 foot of paracord. Let's see what the instruction says we got. The instructions or the contents says 2.7 meters of paracord. 2.7 meters? God, I must have underestimated that. I'm 183 centimeters, so that's 1.83 meters or 6 feet. So I can measure by me. So that's 183. Yeah, it is 2.7 meters. We have a tightly sealed silver packet now. Is the cordage in the carabiner to one side. So we open it up. Silver foil in a survival situation can have a couple of uses. My first impression would be if you're trying to make a fire on a damp ground, the silver foil could be useful for that, to protect from the damp ground. So there's about 2.5 square inches of silver foil. Other uses for silver foil, potentially you could use it as a fishing lure, something to catch the attention of a fish if you can't find any other sort of suitable bait to catch predatory fish. They'll chase it. Even actually non-predatory fish may try and pick up a piece of silver foil just out of curiosity if you're very lucky. Other uses, potentially signalling, although that would be pretty marginal. Now, what else have we got in it? Ah, it comes sealed in a plastic bag. Let's open up. I'm pretty certain I know what this is in this brown piece of paper. I've seen these before from school times. This is going to be a scalpel blade. So then obviously cutting tool. And in a survival situation, you wouldn't want to waste your brown paper. You could use that as a bit of tinder. We have 1, 2 safety pins. Then comes a sewing needle, fairly large size sewing needle. What do we have in this little paper packet? Aha, a ferrocerium rod for starting fires. Ferrocerium rod, that's useful. More tissue paper, or tissue paper, tinder. Now let's just go to this. So here we have some steel wire, useful for making a snare, potentially for hanging a pot up for cooking, for repairing something. Anyway, steel wire. And then here in a sealed, no, it's not totally sealed, it's a Ziploc bag. Everything's blown away. In the Ziploc bag we have, what the hell is this? A bag of hair. I'm going to have to go to the contents list and try and deduce what this is. What do you think it is? Looks like a bag of hair. What I think this is what's described in the packet as fire wool. So this must be some sort of fire starting material. I may have to come back to that. It might not be what it is, but I'm guessing that's what they're calling the fire wool. It's not much of it. Maybe it's highly flammable, in which case you don't need a lot of it. Now what? Oh, so that's, and that comes in its own little zip lock baggie. Now in here, looks like we've got a lot of fishing gear, a lot of fishing tackle. There you go. First thing I do is lose it. So there's two inline weights. There's a length of fishing line, monofilament fishing line. We have a little rubber jig in the shape of a prawn, which has started to melt, or rubber's started to degenerate. It seems like it's reacted against the rubber float. There's supposed to be 2 floats in here, and these are the little tiny floats, the little tiny bobbers. One, because it's polystyrene, has reacted against something in the packaging and has actually started to dissolve. There's one bait lock. So where are the actual hooks? Hooks would be useful to have, wouldn't they, right? 2 Alco pads. More silver foil. I'm guessing maybe they think there's enough silver foil here that you could actually create some sort of container. This actually would be quite useful for signalling, because this is quite a large piece. So a large piece of silver foil. And this is actually doubled, so it actually gets even bigger. I won't open up completely because that'll just blow away in the wind, but you get the idea. It's actually twice this size. This is folded in half. I'm missing something quite important here. I'm missing actually any fishing hooks. So that's the firewall. There's steel. Where the hell are the fishing hooks? There's the floats. Aha, here they are. They're still in this baggie. Let's see what size hooks they've given us. Some pretty big ones. And actually the hooks are attached to hook lengths. So you then have to connect that to your main fishing line, probably with a loop to loop connection. I just dropped a bollock here, guys. I used the firewall, that kind of hairy stuff in the packet, to start a little fire, but I forgot to turn the camera on, so you're not going to see that. My summary was it was a pretty crap fire starter. They'd been better off putting cotton wool dipped in Vaseline in the packet. So just so I can demonstrate that little ferrocerium rod, I'll try and use the Elco pad as the tinder to catch the spark from the ferrocerium rod, the little ferrocerium rod, and I'm using the blade, the scalpel blade, and this little mini ferrocerium rod to create the spark. And from experimenting with it, it's very difficult to get a spark using the spine of the scalpel, so I'm actually using the sharpened edge, which is already, as you can see, I've only used it a half a dozen times to strike the rod and it's already ruining it. Is there any alcohol in this alcohol pad? Okay, that famous, you can always use an alcohol pod to start a fire. Yeah, it smells pretty alcoholic. It says alcohol. Yeah, that's flammable. Let me scrape it up a bit. Fluff it up a bit. Yeah. And we go again. Well, well, well. If this was a survival situation, now, it's burning. Ah, it's an invisible flame. There, there, there. Now we got it. Let's get some more. Okay. It worked in the end. After the fire making, I've started to do a bit of fishing with the equipment. I've got a pole here and I've found a bit of bait, a slug. I was looking for a worm, but I could only find a slug. It's not a very worm rich environment here in Sweden, especially not this time of year in these woods. There's not a lot of dirt for a living. But anyway, I got a rod together, dangling off there. I got a float there in the water, and then I got it 3 feet of line underneath the float. You know, I've got nothing to bait up with. I've got no ground bait, so really you're just chucking in and hoping for the best in this type of fishing. Here, let me put the old rod in my rod rest here. So what to make of this survival grenade? Well, when hang on, fucking hell, my bob was moving. It's just the wind. To be honest, when I got it, I thought it was going to be worthless, you know. Maybe you get a couple of metres of paracord line out of it, and they don't cost much money. 30, 40 Swedish crowns, $3, $4, $5, even less than that, if you want to get hold of one. But now I've opened it up and I've looked inside it, I don't just think it's useless, I think it's nigh on dangerous. There's no way that that's a survival kit, something to help somebody survive in a desperate situation. I mean, that is literally, if you had that, that is literally better than having nothing at all. That's all it's going to do for you. It's literally better than having absolutely nothing else to help you survive. Let's go through it one by one. You got, I'm just watching my line here, it's interesting. This is exciting stuff going on down there. It's just the wind, I know that. But there's, in this lake, you got pike. Obviously I'm not going to catch a pike on that tackle I got today. With a slug out there. you've got perch. That's what I'm hoping for, perch. And perch, not only are they easy to catch fish to catch because they're gluttonous and they'll basically eat anything, they're also good eating. There's roach in there, fairly easy to catch if you've got the right bait, if you've got the right size hooks, and those hooks were too big really for the roach you get in here. But bad eating. And there's also some real giant carp in here. I mean, I'm talking 15, 20, 30 pound carp. Again, they're wild carp. They're going to be so difficult to catch. If you could bait up for them, yeah, maybe there's a hopeful one. So really perch is what you're trying to get in a survival situation. That takes me to this. I mean, I'm always seeing in survival kits fishing equipment. Fishing is not that easy in the best of environments. Let alone think you're just going to survive on fish. If you're in a survival situation, get the hell out of there, man. Walk somewhere. Build a shelter and wait. But to think you're going to catch fish and survive on the fish you catch, that's pretty outrageous. Most people aren't even active fishermen. And then to say you're going to give them a bit of line and a hook and no bait and they're going to go out and catch fish and survive, that's crazy. But anyway, I'm digressing. Yeah, this package, it's like a novelty. It's like, I can imagine you buy one for yourself and your mate gets one and you go out and you see you can catch the most fish and start a fire and cook it. There's a little competition between you. But to hook that to your pack and to think it's going to help you out, no way. Let's take it to fire starting methods. You get a little ferrocerium rod, no problem with that. That's probably you can get, but they didn't put any matches in there. So all you got a ferrocerium rod and a match. And what you got to scrape this ferrocerium rod is a razor blade. In a bad situation, you're going to end up cutting your fingers on that razor blade, scalpel. Yes, I know you can find a piece of glass, you can find a stone. If you've got that knowledge, if you know that, if you even know what a ferrocerium rod is. If you're just somebody who's never taken part in any of the hobby of survival bushcraft and you get that little package, it's going to be about as much good as a chocolate teapot to you. And then tinder wise, they give you that firewall, which I apologise, I missed setting fire to, but it didn't burn that well. It didn't catch a spark that well, and it burnt very, very quickly. So once again, that's basically a one-shot deal with that firewall, and then you've got the alco pads, again a one-shot deal. You've basically got 2 good attempts of starting a fire with what's in that kit, and then hoping you've also got decent tinder to chuck on top of it. I mean, I'm on a beautiful day in June here, sorry, July, plenty of dry stuff around, yeah, no problem. Less than advantageous conditions, forget it. You might as well take the razor blade and slit your wrists, get it over and done with quickly. In the fishing equipment, well, I've kind of covered fishing equipment. Yeah, if you happen to find yourself in a survival situation next to a well-stocked lake where you can find some decent bait, yeah, you could be living high on the hog there catching fish. I mean, most people's survival situations is you're not turning up. Oh shit, there's a snake down there. Not a big one. He's coming towards me. I'll see if I can get him. There he is. He's a snook. He's not very big. He's tiny, in fact. But they're pretty scary. So it's a snake. I think I'll zoom in on it. He's motoring. Look at him go. Survival food. That was a snook. They're fish. That's fish. That's a snake. They love swimming in the lakes and in the seas. They catch frogs, insects, you know, basic scavenger type of snake, the snook. You can recognise them by the yellow greenish patches behind their ears. Not poisonous whatsoever, but still, seeing a snake and it just pops out like that gives you kind of like atavistic prehistoric reaction to snake, even when they're not poisonous. They do for me anyway. You don't see that many. What was I getting to? Yeah, this survival grenade. This video is becoming a rambling nightmare, isn't it? Absolutely pointless, absolutely worthless, probably more dangerous to have it than not to have it. If you opened that up in a bad situation, you'd be like, if you're a well-trained guy who's used to going out, experimenting with stuff, yeah, you might be able to get a fire out of it. If you're somebody who's not, then no chance. I mean, I would say in that form factor, what would I put in that form factor? Yeah, I like the paracord, that keeps it all wrapped up and can be useful for something. So keep that, but put a lighter in it, just a gas lighter. Put a dozen matches wrapped up in tin foil. Put some Vaseline soaked balls in there, cotton balls in there. Forget the fishing stuff, put a couple of dextrosol tablets in there so you get a little bit of a sugar boost. So you can make a fire, have a sugar boost. Yeah, probably that's it. That's what I'd put in it if I was selling it commercially. And what I would recommend if you want to have something small like that is make it yourself. Make your own survival kit for your own environment, which is going to be useful for you. If you're likely to need to survive next to a lake, put fishing gear in there. If you're pretty confident in making a fire, only put 2 marginal fire making methods in there. Otherwise, don't put some decent fire making methods in there. Redundancy, just make it all about fire. At least then you know you're going to get a fire and keep warm, which in my environment is probably the main thing you want to do on survival, bearing in mind that I can always find water in Sweden because it rains so much. If I'm not next to a lake, I can finally find a puddle somewhere. There's no wild animals, so I don't have to protect myself from a wild animal, but it does get very cold. So you want to keep fire. Not only fire will keep you warm, it will also make you visible for search parties. It's good for the morale situation, and yeah, I think this is the whole bushcraft hobby, survival hobby, has enabled this junk products to come out on the market. And if you're not really thinking straight, if you're not really thinking past the obvious, you might buy one of those survival grenades and think, yeah, I'm good to go. I'm prepared for a survival situation. Not a chance in hell is hanging one of them survival grenades to your pack, helping you survive. Still ain't caught anything here. I'm going to die of starvation due to lack of fishing success. Right guys, this has been a very enjoyable video for me, rambling on. Hope it's given you some food for thought on a survival grenade. Like I said, I think buy one as a game, maybe between you and a couple of mates. Go out with them and see what you can do with them. But as far as a serious piece of survival kit, not for me, not in a million years. If you're a subscriber, thanks for being a subscriber. That supports the channel greatly. Thanks for all your comments, your thumbs up, your shares. That supports the channel greatly. If you're not already a subscriber, please consider subscribing. I come out with regular videos. If I do see you again, have a great time till the next time. Take care out there.